Hey gang, your dearest and best friend Clay here, Mountain Music Exchange. Today, we are going to chat about one of my favorite new Epiphones, the 1963 SG Custom. Okay gang, so this is the 1963 Epiphone SG Custom. This is from the Inspired by Gibson Custom lineup here. As you can see on the back there with that cool double diamond inlay, which you will also find on the case. And as evidenced by the full-on open book Gibson headstock, this is a pretty darn faithful recreation of, at the very least, their custom shop version of that guitar. The Gibson custom shop version, I mean. And of course, it's got some major big features here. It's a little, I'm gonna say it's probably a little classier than I'm used to, right? But nonetheless, cool guitar. It'll still rock with the best of them. I'll show you on that a little bit later. But this features not one, not two, but three Gibson custom bucker pickups. Now, if you just look at that alone, that is $750 worth of pickups if you buy a new custom bucker at retail. And of course, you get the beautiful gold hardware, the Epiphone etched Maestro vibrola here, and oh, you get another double diamond on the back here. Check that out. How cool is that? So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna go top to bottom, go over some features and specs on this thing, then we're gonna play it, and then I'll give you, my final thoughts, the sort of rundown of what I thought about this guitar and why I think this may be a cool guitar for your collection if you are into this sort of vintage custom style SG. But before we do that, gang, it is time for that shameless like and subscribe, please. If you like what is on the channel and you want to see more content from MME, more guitar reviews, I hope you can tell now we have upgraded our camera system so we are a little clearer and a little more pristine now than before. Give us a like and give us a subscribe. Also hit that bell for notifications. Check out more MME content so we can stay in this whirlwind just a little longer with you guys and hopefully bring you things that you're looking to see. Okay, gang, so with that, let's go top to bottom on the Epiphone version of the 1963 SG Custom. First of all, I know I've mentioned it already, but there is that absolutely timeless Gibson style open book headstock on this. This thing retails, by the way, for $14.99. Half of the price of this alone could be bought in pickups, just pickup. That's insane to me. And actually, maybe even a little more. I think maybe the gold-plated ones are a little bit more expensive, right? Probably. Anyway, Gibson open book headstock with my absolute favorite logo, inlay, whatever you want to call it, the split diamond right there in the center. It is bound, and it's multi-ply binding all the way down the headstock, but single-ply binding all the way down the neck, which is sort of typical for an SG Custom to have. You also get this very sort of wide bevel Gibson Les Paul custom style truss rod cover here. Now, it is the 3-point in that it has a 3-screw setup rather than the traditional 2-screw. There is a reason for that. It's sort of the manufacturing technique at Epiphone. In the way that they put this truss rod in, it sort of doesn't leave any wood here at all for that 2-screw, so you have to get it on each side of that opening. And that's totally fine by me. Quite frankly, I love the fact that they went with this custom shop style, vintage style wide bevel. It's a small detail, but it helps it stand out and it does help set it apart. You do get gold Grover tuners here. Very, very cool. Sort of standard in that custom range these days. And you also have an ebony fingerboard here with real mother of pearl inlays, which is a very class touch to add on to this. I think actually having real ebony with real mother of pearl, very much akin to the spec of like the Gibson custom shop version or the original version, is a very, very sort of high-end move that they made for this and does help justify this $14.99 price tag. And then of course you get your tenon cover here, Les Paul custom, as this would have still been a Les Paul at the time, although I think the transition was starting to happen where maybe it wasn't later on in that same year. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, by the way. Feel free. Short pick guard here, or rather the small pick guard here, as opposed to the sort of big batwing pick guard, which again is spec to a 63 and the custom shop version as well. 3 custom bucker pickups here with an ABR1 style bridge, and I know I've said it before, but I will say it again. It is the ABR1 style bridge because it does go into a post. It does still have the wire retainer. It is sort of narrower like a real ABR1, but I feel like with a real ABR1 though, the posts just go straight into the body rather than into a bushing here, which is sort of what you have. But it is visually, and if we're being honest, probably tonally for the most part anyway, still very accurate to what you would be looking at on, you know, an original or a custom shop version with the real true ABR1 style that goes directly into the body. Big Maestro Vibrola here, all in gold, gold plated, just class everywhere here. You do have, by the way, I'm backing up a little bit here. You do have, it's a slimmer neck, but the rounded profile makes it more comfortable, almost in the way, almost like a big neck, and it does taper to be much wider at the bottom. Now I'm just going by feel alone. This is without measurement or anything like that. Also, going by feel alone, this is probably in the high 7, low 8 pound range. I will attribute that extra weight to the Maestro Vibrola and the third pickup here and the additional electronics therein. Now, you of course still get volume, volume, tone, tone. Your 3-way switch works a little differently on this than it would on, say, like a Stratocaster. If you're not familiar, the layout is as follows. Treble position here is the bridge. Your full-on rhythm position is the neck, but your middle position is the bridge and middle activated at the same time. So the middle pickup is theoretically never actually activated on its own, which I do think is interesting. I think that would be a unique sound. But these together are also a unique sound. And to the best of my knowledge, these are not reverse wound, reverse polarity or anything crazy like that. So I don't think you're going to scope out any Peter Green style tones here, but we will test that. So maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? All right. And of course, you get the thumb bleeders here. I also like the extra added touch of the gold top here in the knobs. I think that's just a cool look. Now, if you want to start comparing this to like a Gibson maybe, right? And it's inevitable that it's going to happen. The beveling here is a little thicker. It is something you can sort of visually differentiate, as a Gibson would sort of narrow a lot more here, right? And the strap buttons aren't necessarily anything beyond sort of what the standard Epiphone strap button would be. It is not a vintage styled strap button in any way. You do get, however, with this, I forgot to mention with the electronics, you do get Mallory capacitors, CTS pots, Switchcraft switch, and jack here. So you get really class quality stuff in this for this price point. You also get a monster cool hard shell case. It has that beautiful like goldenrod interior, black exterior. It is era specific and custom shop specific, as well as the custom shop typically tries to adhere to the era that the guitar comes from. And these frets, by the way, are medium jumbos here, so they feel really good. They're really good to bend on. You do not have fret nibs like you would on a Gibson. Now, what are fret nibs? If you haven't seen any of our other videos, which you should check out on the channel, by the way, the fret nibs is like that's where the binding is put on after the frets have been installed. So the binding comes up and over the fret edges. This prevents fret sprouting and just keeps everything feeling nice and smooth. Now, that being said, I do think that this is a very smooth feeling neck. I don't feel anything sprouting out or jumping out or catching my fingers. As I run my hands up and down the fingerboard here, nothing seems to catch. So it's still really, really well done. It feels perfectly fine to play. But if you are visually trying to distinguish this from a Gibson beyond the Epiphone logo and some of the other obvious things, this is one of those things. All right, gang, so, and of course, I know I failed to mention this, but this is a one-piece mahogany neck, and I believe a two-piece mahogany body. If I'm incorrect on that, please do, again, let me know in the comments. I'm not 100% certain. I'm just going by some of the Les Pauls from this same line, the Inspired by Gibson Custom line that I've played, and been able to visually sort of see from a transparent finish that they've been two pieces, but I don't know if that's an official spec. But now that we know what this thing is made of, literally what this thing is made of, how cool it looks. Does it sound good? I mean, honestly, it's got 3 custom buckers, probably, right? But I wouldn't dare let you guys go without knowing for sure. So let's plug it up and let's play it. I'm going to be using a Line 6 Helix. I'm also going to be using on that an amp model that's similar to like a Fender Deluxe. For cleans, I'll probably have a little bit of reverb on that. And I'll also be using the Brit 2203 model. That is going to be for those gnarly Marshall tones, because you cannot have a Gibson or Gibson style guitar, in my opinion, without at least hearing what that sounds like, because it is time tested, tried and true. So without further ado, gang, let's play. All right, gang, this is, and has been, and still will be once this video is over, the Epiphone 1963 SG Custom, possibly Les Paul, probably Les Paul. It says it twice, right? But anyway, my thoughts on this. It's, I think this is, I know that there will probably forever be some sort of rage, right? People will be raging that there is a $1,500 Epiphone guitar floating around out there, right? But I think what you get with this, you get the sort of class custom treatment here. You get really a series of high-end specs that, despite where this guitar is made, really add to the overall value and perceived value, I think, of this guitar. Again, ebony, real mother of pearl, one-piece mahogany neck, very low number of pieces at the very worst, mahogany body. True to spec in a lot of different ways to a custom shop guitar, like to the custom shop version of this guitar, really. What I liked about playing this was the vibrola didn't really go out of tune. I think that has more to do with the correct usage of the vibrola. If you're not trying to do dives or crazy moves with it, I think that helps a lot. But overall, I really just like this guitar. I think as sort of, you know, a self-confessed Gibson fanboy, if $1,500 were my price point, my max, or even, you know, maybe even a little bit below, and I had sort of this affinity for a vintage style guitar, right? And I think this has enough sort of quality US made, Gibson made components here, as well as just the right specs, and, you know, not to mention the case that's included. I think that's a lot of the value here. So I think if $1,500 were my price point and I were looking for an SG, right? Or I were looking for specifically a 3-pickup custom style SG, rather than sort of go down market, find a used older Epiphone one, whatever, I think this is the one I would chase. And I think that I would do that because it does spec so close to the custom shop version. Now, it doesn't feel like the custom shop version. You can sort of hear this number going on here because it's not quite as smooth. But I've mentioned before in some of the other sort of Epiphone VOS finish videos that I've done here, this can be buffed out. Trogley does a very good video on that, on the how-to of making that sort of have that. It's not a super high gloss, but it is sort of a period correct VOS sheen that will sort of visually put it a little more in line with the Gibson guitar. And I think really just a few of those little things, those little differences, aren't really sort of deal breakers. I think this is close enough to spec for me, especially given the fact that this comes with the same, we'll say, sort of engine that the custom shop version comes with for thousands and thousands more, right? That there is no reason not to at least give this thing a shot if that is anywhere near your ideal price point for whatever reason, right? I'm just glad, really, that there are guitars like this that hit different price points. Like, you can still get a Les Paul Custom for $700 from Epiphone, you know, if that's your price point. If that's, you know, if that's the look you want, you can get it, and I think that's cool. But if you want to go to the top of the sky and spend 10 grand on one, you can do that too. But either way, the point is that they'll all play the same songs, right? And that's what we really want to do at the end of the day. We just want to play those songs, man. And we just want to love and enjoy the experience of playing the guitar and the joy that it brings us, or the emotions that it lets us let out. But that's my Jerry Springer final thought for the day here. Check us out online at mountainmusicexchange.com. As of the filming of this video, it is very cold outside. So be sure to get a stylish and cool Mountain Music Exchange hoodie. Or check out the new arrival section where you can check out all the latest new and used gear that we get in stock. It is all going to be posted on there from every brand that we offer. And check us out on Facebook, TikTok, here on the channel at YouTube. Don't forget to check out the short videos that Haas does. And check us out on Instagram. Gang, that's going to have us on this one. This is a cool guitar. You should check it out. I'm Clay. You rock. And wherever you're at, whatever in the world it is you're doing, make it loud. See you, gang.